friends, welcome back to my channel and for another video on the Betsy Tacy Read-a-long of 2019. I will just link the host information in the description of this video, as well as my previous videos on the first 4 books of the series. Today we will be talking about the first book in the high school set of books, and that is Heaven to Betsy. And this series is by Maud Hart Lovelace, if you're not familiar, and it follows the life of Betsy Ray and her friend Tacy, and sometimes their friend Tim, and a cast of other characters who you will meet in this book. So in Heaven to Betsy, she is just starting her first year of high school at age 14, and this starts out a very dramatic shift in Betsy's life, and you see that right from the beginning of the story. Betsy is visiting a older lady. She's supposed to be there for, I guess, a month, but she finds herself being very homesick and trying to be older and compliant, and it's only one chapter really of her being in this place, and it does to me seem a little out of place, but it sets up the rest of the book, so the rest of the action in the book. Right from the beginning of the novel, you get this sense that Betsy is struggling in her early teens, and just that whole shift between young and older. But she also just yearns for her old life, and that theme is carried out throughout most of Heaven to Betsy. Straight from that first scene where she is staying with the lady out in the country, we head into another big shift in Betsy's life, where she is forced to move from her childhood home. She's not really forced, but she's surprised that her parents have just up and bought a new house while she was out visiting this woman. It's not really that far away from where Betsy grew up. Tacy is still within walking distance of her house, but she no longer lives right across the street. Betsy's family thinks that she is just going to be thrilled with this because it's a bigger house, it has indoor plumbing, it's just very modern for the time, and they just think that, oh, this is going to be a great surprise for Betsy when she gets home. But Betsy is not excited about it. And this really starts to show how she just wants her old life back. And you know, throughout the rest of the book, regardless of what's happening, she kind of talks about, well, I can't go to my bench anymore because there's a new family living in my house, and you know, I can't talk to Tacy about this because she's not right across the street from me. And also another big change in this book is that Tib is no longer here. She has moved back to Minneapolis, and that was kind of something that was a little disconcerting to me. But they kind of almost glossed over the fact that Tib is no longer there. And that was the only thing that, at the beginning, that I was kind of like, huh, that's weird. Because she was such a big staple in 3 of the elementary age books. And then now, after the first couple of chapters, you don't hear about Tib anymore. I will also say in this one that Betsy seemed much more moody in this book than in previous ones, which, I mean, isn't really a con, because I think it's a testament to Maud Hart Lovelace's writing ability, that she's able to show so well the different moods of her characters and how they are progressing in life. They're not static characters. Betsy and Tacy both are growing up, and Lovelace is showing that progression, that they are having like more emotions that a teenager would have, and we all know that teenage girls are moody. A big theme of this book is Betsy uh, starting to hang out with boys and getting her first crush, but also having a lot of other boys around her that appear to be interested in her, but also still kind of treat her like one of the boys. They tease her a lot, and they act like they don't like her, but then at the same time they're helping her on with her coat. They're calling on her, and but there's always like two or three of them at a time, and they don't seem to be jealous of each other. They're just like, we're all just hanging out and having a good time, yeah, which is great. I mean, I honestly think that's probably the way it should be with 14-year-olds and probably 30-year-olds, but yeah, so it was very interesting to kind of see that switch in Betsy's mood. It was a little bit annoying, I guess I would say, because I really just enjoyed the sweetness of the first four books, and now I'm getting into the high school angst, and high school kids just bother me. And so I kind of feel like that was where I was at with this book, and it was kind of hard to sympathize with Betsy for me, and I didn't really like any of her friends. I'll be honest. It felt like the girls were just trying to be older, and the boys were just flat out mean at times and just stupid. Yeah, there was a lot of I had a lot of feelings about this one. I would just be like, oh, Betsy, my gosh, like just simmer down, and I was like, oh, I would just catch myself being like, oh, Betsy is so annoying, and I was like, wait a second, I love Betsy, what the heck? So, but yeah, I mean, it was very sweet and endearing still, I thought. The prose of this particular book, again, were, to me, the writing style, but also just the art in this one, I thought they were really lovely pictures. I'll show you a couple of my favorites in this book, and one of them was Mrs. Ray around the piano with all the kids just singing along with her, and I just think that's really a cute vignette that we get a lot throughout this series, of all the kids just hanging around at the houses, and they don't care if the parents are present, and they like the parents, and the parents like them. Oh, and then also I liked this one, and I forget who the two boys in this one are, but there were like there were three or four boys that kind of interchanged calling on Betsy throughout the novel, and yeah, I liked that one. But like, does anybody else think that like this is not what a 14-year-old looks like? I was just looking at that thinking I wouldn't look at these photos and think that they're pictures of 14 and 15-year-olds, but they're really pretty, and I think they show also a more grown-up style of the illustrator. One of my favorite chapters in the book, which I feel is going to be a common thread among YouTubers, is the chapter on Mr. Ray's Sunday night dinner, or Sunday night lunch. I think they call it Sunday night lunch. And yeah, that was just a really cute scene that Mr. Ray every Sunday had reign over the kitchen, and he made sandwiches for everyone, and all the kids from the neighborhood came, and they just and neighbors called on them, and but Mr. Ray was in control. And I thought that was really sweet because I love the parents in this book, because I feel like so often in historical fiction books, you get uh, the parents not being very nurturing, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And the Rays are definitely not that way. They are very much a part of their kids' lives. They encourage them. They just love to interact with each other. Mr. and Mrs. Ray are very loving towards each other. And I love that, obviously that's what you want to see in a good family. And yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of this book too. Oh, and also one of my favorite scenes in this book, which went over a few different chapters, was the theme of Betsy in her essay writing contest against Joe Willard. And this is a spoiler alert, so if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe I can hold the book up. Well, and then whenever I put the book down, spoiler is done. But I enjoyed how Betsy got taken down a peg in this essay writing contest, because up till this point she was driving me nuts. Her attitude was just irritating to me, and she was not taking her schooling seriously, because all she wanted to do was go to parties and hang out with boys, which I know is actually pretty normal. But yeah, it was funny to see Joe Willard actually try to help Betsy, and he was always there studying for this essay writing contest. And when she finally decided to go into the library where he was, and he actually offered to walk her home and tell her the things she needed to know about the subject that they were supposed to write their essay on, and she said no because she wanted to walk home with this good-for-nothing boy. And then, in the end, she was unprepared for her essay writing contest, and a shocker of shockers, she didn't win. This book was really entertaining to me, and I kind of hated giving any kind of criticism of this book, because I really still am very much enjoying this series. I think that the book is still very enjoyable, and just because Betsy is angsty doesn't mean that the book is bad. It's just that's how kids get when they're getting older. We're into middle grade March right now, and she's older than that. She's 14, and she's getting into boys and all that, so it's not really middle grade. But I think that this would be a good, solid pick for a middle grade reader. I hope that you will be joining us if you haven't already. These are starting to get into the older, more complicated novels of the series. So yeah, if you didn't want to pick up the elementary school, this would maybe be a good time for you to get into them. And if you are, leave me a comment and tell me what you enjoyed about this book, or if you felt the same way as I did about Betsy's attitude. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.